championship so close you can taste it.
Oliver Askew has won the Freedom 100.
Side by side. And your new champion, Christian Rasmussen. Getting set to go here again with the drivers, as we said, a couple minutes away from getting things underway. Let me just work on my headset here because I got a guy that's coming in to join me. We'll get the headset on him to get things underway. Oliver Askew joining me here, folks. Of course, a former champion in USF 2000 and Indy Lights. Grab a seat here, Oliver. Been doing some IndyCar racing this year. I know we're getting close to the start command, so we're going to jump over to the camera here right now.
Right.
Hey, man, good to have you with me.
Hey, good to be here.
What are you doing here this weekend?
I'm coaching Devlin.
How's that working for you so far? Everything good?
Today has been a struggle.
Okay.
So, as you know, qualifying around here is extremely important, and not much passing going on in the races. Yeah.
And when you're in the middle of that group like Devlin was, you're kind of locked in there, and what do you do with the aero push and beating up the tires, right?
Yeah, the most important thing is just to continue to keep pressure on those cars in front and hopefully wait for a mistake. But unfortunately, we kind of got stuck where we started. So
Oliver's going to join me here for the broadcast. We'll go back down. There is Artem Petrov, who'll start on the pole position. We are moments away from firing things up to get rolling. Again, 2 wins on the season for Artem Petrov. Scored a victory at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course, and then a big victory as well in tough conditions at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Artem Petrov comes in currently in the 5th spot in points and definitely in a potential battle to go up to P3 in the championship standings. A very talented young driver, cold as ice for sure, does not make a lot of mistakes and has a lot of natural speed. Petrov is going to be starting, as I said, on the pole position. Folks, we're ready to get underway. 12 drivers set to go. Drivers, start your engines. And as drivers fire things up, Oliver, you're with me here. Let's talk about that first and foremost. What's it like when you roll out there, you got to sit in the sun for a while. Always feels good to fire up the engines. For me, it's always getting to feel that air come and go by me once I leave the grid.
definitely, it can get steamy there as you're sitting. I can't wait to get the car rolling, get the air moving through the cockpit. But luckily, I think we've had fantastic weather here this
great,
weekend.
isn't it?
Fantastic.
Yeah, for those of you not here with us right now, about 70 degrees trackside. You can see from the back there. We got blue skies with some clouds, but otherwise an absolutely perfect early October day. May not be the same tomorrow. We saw some drivers potentially roll the dice and go on fresh tires, knowing that we could get some wet weather tomorrow. But again, we'll see what happens here. Sometimes the clouds eventually work their way around the racetrack. But again, as Oliver had said, always feels good when you're able to pull off the track and onto the track rather, and get that air whistling through the chassis and get yourself just a little bit more comfortable. Again, Artem Petrov starting on pole, Christian Rasmussen second, Braden Eves and Reese Gold in third and fourth. You've run for a championship, Oliver, and you get to those battles in that season finale, and I think really then is when it starts to come down to the mental game as well. Everything you've trained for in your entire career, all that karting, that learning how to win a championship, it really comes to play when you're into a weekend like this.
I describe the mental game in racing. I believe it's a lot like golf, a lot like it, and a lot like other sports as well.
Agreed.
When it comes down to the wire, you have to be in that zone. And confidence obviously helps that. And I've been in this position. There's so much pressure on these drivers, right? They're having to rely on the scholarship system to move forward to the ultimate goal of becoming an IndyCar driver. And I totally understand what these guys are going through right now.
And one of the interesting you bring up golf, because one of the books I read, and I love playing golf myself, is Zen Golf, and it's talking about kind of getting out of your own way. Because each one of these drivers, they've been racing since they were kids, right? Single digits, 6, 7, 8, 9 years of age. You become your authentic driver. It's the way you approach it. It's the way you drive. When you let other extraneous things come in and kind of mess with your head, that's really when you find yourself in trouble. You have to clear that all away once you get into the car.
Definitely, and I find myself performing my best when I'm not thinking at all. It's so funny to say that, but letting that natural ability take over, and that's what it means to be in the zone, as we say.
Agreed. So drivers working their way out onto the racetrack. I believe we'll do 2 laps around. I'm not quite certain. We did that for Indy Lights, but we'll see whether or not the pace car decides to come into pit lane. At this point here, drivers working their way out of turns number 7 and 8.
This will be first time by, so lights off on the pace car here. This for me has been the most intriguing championship battle to follow on the road to Indy. Two very good drivers up there fighting for the top spot, and this is going to be an interesting one.
And just like the guy beside me, both guys in the championship are former USF 2000 champions. That's the key. We've had the two guys that have been the best in that lower level working their way up to fight it out right now. As they work their way out of the final corner, pace car will head to pit lane, and it is time to go racing. The first of two races in Indy Pro 2000. It'll be, of course, Artem Petrov, as we said, on the pole position, and then Christian Rasmussen right behind him. But Exclusive Autosport lining up 1-2 as that play out coming into turn number 1. Field coming out of 13 as we set to go green here for what will be a 25-lap contest. Lining things up, green, 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 and a good start for Artem Petrov. And can Braden Eves get through as well? He's getting pushed behind from Christian Brooks. All the drivers lined up on the inside. Out of turn number 1 right now, they're working their way up to the keyhole. Indeed, Exclusive was first, third, and sixth with Christian Brooks back there as well. And you can see this push. Good start here for Artem Petrov. A look at Eves on the outside. Good battle. But there's a Reese Gold potentially to the side of Braden Eves. That was pretty tight racing coming through the keyhole, Oliver. That's a tough part of this racetrack.
Very tough, and these drivers know, so we see Rasmussen going through in second there. Not sure where Eves is. There's a battle 3 wide going into turn 4. These guys know that there's not many, some contact there in 4, not many passing opportunities after this initial start, so they're absolutely going for it right here.
Indeed, you can see that that's Reese Gold on the outside. I believe that was either Brooks or Eves that were able to slot through to P number 3. Not quite sure who it is. We'll see as they slot themselves back around through madness out of turn number 7 over to turn 8 and now 9. Finally down to single file after some pretty double file, wild racing there. And indeed, I think Gold able to slot his way into 4th. 5th is either Brooks or Eves. Can't quite pick up the number from what we see here. And then a good start as well for Jack William Miller. I think he slotted into the 6th spot. We'll give you a full field rundown when they work their way across the line. But Artem Petrov out to try to get win number 3 in that number 42 machine. And maybe even more importantly for the team, securing the team championship as well. Petrov with the lead. Rasmussen second. Indeed, Braden Eves up into the 3rd spot. Reese Gold 4th, Christian Brooks in 5th, Jacob Abel 6th, Hunter McElroy in 7th, Anam Ahmed in 8th spot, 9th is Wyatt Prokachik, 10th James Rowe, 11th is Jordan Missig, and I'm seeing Jack William Miller. Is that him at the tail of the field? He might have fallen to the tail of the field. I thought that he was up there. That was actually Jacob Abel in the red number 51, not Jack William Miller, so another good start for Jacob Abel as well.
Yeah, so we have the 2 championship contenders continuing in 2nd and 3rd here. Yeah, we'll see who has the pace here through the opening laps.
Very similar to what we saw, though, because coming in almost exactly the same point. I think the same points between Kirkwood and Malukas, and then Rasmussen and Eves. Now with Rasmussen running 2nd and Eves in 3rd, the gap now with 417 to 396. So that would be a 21-point gap. So Rasmussen looking very similar to what we saw from Kirkwood, having maybe just to get a pole position tomorrow, because only 12 drivers in the field means you're still going to get 9 points for finishing dead last. So work to be done for Braden Eves, but we know for sure that the Exclusive Autosport cars have been fast. And Artem Petrov out in front again. And listen, you know this, Oliver, when you get out front in one of these cars with the aero wash you have, that clean racetrack, especially with a driver of his caliber, you know he can win races, especially when he's out front.
Yeah, you're in control of the race.
That's it.
You know, you control the pace. You know that. You know, once that driver in P2, the guy behind you, you know, if he gets anywhere close to you, he's gonna struggle. You know, so the race is in your hands at that point. It's just all about hitting your marks, not making any mistakes, and usually you can, if you do those 2 things, you can continue to stretch the lead. So yeah, through turn 1 there, through turn 1 and turn 2, I'm sure Rasmussen is relieved to get away from there without any battle scars, you know, because Eves was very close to him on the inside of 1 there. They might have touched.
Yeah, I saw that as well. And again, with Christian Brooks starting right behind there as well, he was trying to push Eves through to potentially go to 2nd. That's what was needed for Eves to get to P2. Now we got to see whether or not that exclusive car can find the pace midway through here. Again, a long way to go. We're only a couple laps into a 25-lapper. But again, a long way, and we'll see how these cars handle the tires. We'll see what kind of mid-race pace we have, and which cars are able to save those tires to have good speed at the end. Petrov still leading, Rasmussen 2nd, Eves in 3rd. Further back in the pack, we'll pick up the battle a little bit later on, but James Rowe started last, able to get by both Jack William Miller and Jordan Missig. So move James Rowe in the Turn 3 Motorsport number 3 machine up into the 10th position. we'll watch his lap times between he and Wyatt Prokachik. But here's your leader right now coming into turn number 2. Artem Petrov looking really good so far, and a pretty good run as well for Christian Brooks in his debut weekend, running P5 right now in the 44. Out of that keyhole, down through the kink, turn number 3, and again early in this run for Indy Pro 2000. Those of you interested in the entire road to Indy, of course, we are rolling once again this afternoon, 3:50, I believe, green flag for the first of 2 races for the Cooper Tires USF 2000 Championship this weekend. That championship not near as close as those in Indy Lights and Indy Pro, as Kiko Porto only needs a top 4 finish to be able to clinch the championship here today. So the Brazilian could get the job done here on Saturday. But again, watching to see what Braden Eves can do. We'll look at lap times that right now Rasmussen quicker by about maybe 2 to 3 tenths of a second. It was actually 2 tenths last time by. Now, Oliver, so you're running P3. Let's say you're Braden Eves. You got Rasmussen out front there. What can you do in terms of trying to close back up? Because do you try to see if he burns his tires off? Because the closer you get, the more you're going to penalize the fronts when you get that aero wash.
Well, if you're Braden Eves right now, this is not what you want to see.
No.
You know, you had that shot there on the opening couple of corners, but you may not get that again.
Yep.
If I were him right now, I'd be controlling, taking care of my equipment, hoping for a caution and possibly a restart and some action going on there. But I think both Petrov's in control of this race right now, and it seems like Rasmussen is in control of the championship hunt.
Yeah, they're both turning 118.2, and it's interesting. Obviously, we had Parker Thompson in here for the Indy Lights race as the analyst, and he said the same thing. Really take care of your car and hope for potentially, a caution period. You got to get a restart to go back at it again, because this place is just so tough to overtake on, especially when you're talking about the particular weather we have here this weekend as well. Super clean. The track itself is not like it's over gripped up. It's not going to get greasy. We don't have a lot of rubber down, so it's a track that most of the drivers are going to be able to predict how it's going to develop throughout the race as well.
I say this isn't what Eves wants to see, but we've experienced it in the past. It's not over until it's over. And we mentioned at the beginning of this race, the weather tomorrow is looking a little sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
So. Could throw a curveball at these championship contenders.
That's very true, and interesting. We saw Artem Petrov be very strong in the wet as well when we were at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Christian Rasmussen had 2 very tough finishes, was involved in 2 incidents in race 2 and race number 3, which really brought the championship much closer together. It was not near as tight as it was coming into that New Jersey weekend. So far, Rasmussen's been able to dodge under the bullets, but as we had said, the race is not over until it's over. I can be sure that Brees Gold's trying to close up here on Braden Eves. He really wants to get another victory. And I think for Reese, and talking to him, both him and Anam Ahmed, Reese is going to be back for 2022, and he's going to be a guy that's going to run for a championship. Young guy, just I think he's 16 or 17 years of age right now for Reese. Do you remember that far back? I know. Obviously, Oliver, you were still racing karts back then. You got a chance to do a little bit of car racing, and you're obviously able to win the scholarship. Remember back being 15, 16 years of age?
Yeah, I don't think I started racing cars until I was 18.
That's what we say. Yeah, that's you were.
I was a little
late. Yeah.
I was still racing karts then. Wouldn't change the way I moved up the ladder. I wouldn't change it. I believe my road to Indy was, everything happens for a reason, right? And I was in the right place at the right time with the right team, the right equipment, the right people around me, and I think a lot of things in life go that way.
Indeed. Let's talk about that right now, because obviously some opportunities this year. You run for a couple of different teams, showed some good speed, I think, as well. Running for Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan, you were up in the top 10. It must have been nice to get a chance to come back and say, guys, this is what I got. Get a chance to run and show good speed. Some of the results didn't play out the way you wanted them to, but man, you showed some really good speed. Yeah,
we had a top 10 there in Laguna Seca. Made it to the Fast 6 as well, so definitely.
That was big.
Yeah, that was awesome. Oh, I was feeling good.
I bet.
It's not every race weekend when you really feel at one with the car and in the zone, as I mentioned before. So Laguna hasn't always been the strongest track for me, but it's amazing how that the environment and the car when it's working right, it doesn't matter where you're at.
Well, and talk about the Fast Six, because how many times do we watch an IndyCar race like that, and the guys that don't even make the Fast 12, it's usually like a couple hundredths of a second.
Oh, it's so close.
Just to get to the Fast 12 is a big accomplishment,
Yes.
especially for you being a part-time driver. But then to get to the top 6, that's flexing the muscles a little bit, saying, "Man, this car and myself, we're connected pretty well."
Definitely, and in IndyCar right now, the smallest mistake can knock you 10 positions in qualifying. And that's. It's extremely important. Starting position is extremely important in that series, just as it is through the road to Indy. But yeah, it was a great string of races there, and still not sure what's in store for me next year and for the future. But my goal is to continue in IndyCar. That's the main priority right now. But most importantly, to stay in racing full time.
And the cool factor to be able to run with a bunch of different teams, right? You're working with different engineers. I know you were able to work with Brandon Fry, who's a good friend of mine at Ray Hall Letterman Landing. But you had a chance to be involved in some different cultures, right? Some different team atmospheres. That's really good experience, I think, for you being as young as you are.
Definitely. There's a lot of different ways to do it, right?
Right.
And I've experienced that. I think I've driven 5 or 6
That's what I heard,
different
5.
Indy cars.
Maybe it's,
at this.
wow.
I think it's 5. Yeah. So all of the teams in IndyCar right now are very capable, and we see that in the results, right? It's most of the teams are capable of winning on any given week, and I think that's what's making the series.
Let's pick this up right now. So I want to see that potentially. I think Rasmussen's been able to get by to the lead. Not sure what happened there, but as you and I were talking about what you're doing, could be a potential problem here for Artem Petrov. He looks like he's slowing a little bit. So Rasmussen has gone to P1.
Yeah, Petrov had an issue there potentially.
Looking at lap times, let's see. We'll look at lap times. Yeah, he dropped down to a 120.5. So potentially an issue here with Artem Petrov that has put Christian Rasmussen to P1.
Yeah, sorry we missed that. Not sure what exactly happened there. Might have been a mistake by Artem Petrov. We'll have to do some investigating on that one.
Yeah, we're going to wait to see if we get some input from some spotters or see what happens on the next lap, obviously, right? Does he get back to an 18? What potentially could it be? Being told potential engine issue for Artem right now. Man, tough one for Artem Petrov, who had qualified on pole, has kind of dominated the weekend so far, was the quickest driver in practice yesterday. But this has handed the lead over to Christian Rasmussen right now. This is big. Not quite sure what is going on right now here with, as we said, with Petrov. You can see him coming out of turn 9. There is Eves and Gold still 3rd and 4th. Back to Brooks running in 5th. 6th is Abel. 7th now is Hunter McElroy. So, again, an issue for the former leader Artem Petrov for the number 42. And as I had said from the get, he's in the middle of a battle trying to potentially move to P3 in the championship. And he was running 3 spots better than Reese Gold. That's the guy he's trying to catch in P3. So this may hurt Petrov. Well, it would indeed hurt Petrov in trying to go to P3 in the championship.
It has huge championship implications as well between Rasmussen and Eves. As Petrov and Eves are both racing for Exclusive Autosport, right? Yep. So that's the last thing the team owner of Exclusive Autosport wants is for their leading driver to not let by Rasmussen, but potentially had a mistake there,
exactly.
lose the position.
That was the key, right? He was holding Rasmussen back into P2, and I know that obviously Exclusive Autosport's still looking good to win this team championship. We're bringing that up in all the races as well. Andretti Autosport battling it out with HMD and Global for that team championship too. But for Exclusive Autosport, trying to get that done here. And interesting to me is Petrov went back to a 118.1. So again, was quicker. Just that one lap up to a 120. You wonder what the heck it was for Artem Petrov and whether or not he could potentially go back at Rasmussen here. But again, it's Eves running in 3rd, Gold 4th. There's 5th, 6th, and 7th right there. Big gap back to 8th will be Anam Ahmed. He's about a second ahead of Wyatt Prokachik, who's got James Rowe right behind him. So we have a pretty good battle, I believe, here for the 9th spot as James Rowe started dead last, looking to try to find a way by Prokachik for 9th. Tremendous run here for Christian Brooks as well in that number 44, jumping up before the end of the season, having not completed that second season of USF 2000. He's, of course, planning on moving to Indy Pro next year. And I'll tell you, and I'm sure you can talk about the fact going from your USF 2000 car, jumping up into that, what was then the Pro Mazda, extra horsepower, extra downforce. Christian's walking around with a big smile on his face. He really likes this car.
Definitely, and it's the same monocoque, right? A lot of the same controls, the same different setup options. So it just does everything better, right?
More of everything, right?
More power, better braking, more grip. So it's a perfect middle step here on the road to Indy.
And he talked about the fact that one of the things he's having to get used to is the increased corner speed. The amount of speed you're rolling through the corners significantly more. Obviously, a lot more horsepower. You're 80 more horsepower. Yeah, I believe it's 80 than the USF 2000 car. Significant amount of downforce. And as you said, the better braking, you're taking it in a lot deeper, and you're rolling way more speed. And there is a driver going off the racetrack on the outside of 9. That was Jacob Abel in the 51. Talk about that corner. You've driven it in essentially every car on the road to Indy, Oliver. USF 2000, Indy Pro, Indy Lights, and now IndyCar. That's that corner where you've got the thing rotated to make sure you can get over the corner. But how easy is it for you to lose the rear in that corner?
We call it the jump corner.
You do? Okay.
We call it the jump corner, and you can't see the exit. So that's why you see a lot of drivers, go off there because, you rotate the car in the beginning, and then you're just kind of stuck with what you got.
That's right? It, right? Yeah. The result is already coming.
Yeah. You get over the hill, and then you arrive where you arrive. So
did I turn in at the right point?
Right.
Wow. Well, not quite the right point for Jacob Abel, although Hunter McElroy, not sure whether or not he was able to capitalize on that. I don't think he quite was. Here's the replay of it. Yeah, you could, and listen, obviously a little late on the turn in potentially, and then the rotation happening a little bit later as well.
That, and you have the dirty air.
Yeah,
so it's a
true.
Fairly high speed corner there. Turn 9, I believe it is.
Yep. Yeah, so you're turning in, like you say, you got no air on the front of the car.
Yep.
So how do you do that then? Are you trail braking it all there? Like, how do you get the car to rotate if you don't have that grip on the front to start the rotation?
You're looking for just a couple of inches of clean air there. So,
yep. So a different entry point, just enough to get a wing out there. Okay.
Yeah.
Parker mentioned that a little bit, talking about Daniel Frost as he was trying to work his way by Robert McGinn. It's always showing a little bit of the wing. Either it was a little more maybe shallow on the entry or whatever it may be, or shallow on the exit, just to be able to try to get that air coming across the wing. That's how you get front downforce. That's how you get the grip on the car to point it where you want to go. I'll tell you one thing, probably the best battle on the racetrack right now is for third, because Reese Gold has not given up at all trying to find a way by Braden Hees. This is really good racing. And you got a kid that's the USF 2000 champion from 2019, and then, of course, Reese Gold, just that one win last year.
Yeah, I don't think Reese Gold is worried about Braden Eves' championship hunt. I don't think that's in his mind right now. He's just worried about getting on the podium.
That's very true. Artem Petrov, as they run on the racetrack, though, tied with Reese Gold in the points. Here's this battle further back, looking for the fight there. That is Gold, thinking about trying to get away by. There's Rasmussen, yeah.
He's got pace.
He does. And he looked good there trying to make a move down into turn 4. Thinking about turn 6. Thinking about the inside. No, Braden Eves able to cover, coming across the bow from left to right. Let's see if Petrov can dial things back in. He was 0.2 of a second quicker than Rasmussen. So we have a potential battle for first and second, and third and fourth as well. Rasmussen leading, Petrov second, Eves battling it out with Gold. Kudos to Christian Brooks right now, a strong run to fifth, but kind of got lucky there with Abel going off. Now Abel having that battle right now with McElroy. We'll look at lap times. Petrov about 0.2 quicker than Rasmussen. But again, catching and passing is the big difference, right? You can catch, but then the minute you get close enough, you start to lose that air off the front wing. We're going to see whether or not Rasmussen could potentially be attacked here. Yeah, look at Rasmussen, a little wiggle coming into the corner. What's that, Oliver? Is that just getting on the brakes a little bit and maybe a little bit of the balance is off a little bit, or you're really trying to push that braking zone?
Yeah, it's very easy to get free there on the entry to turn 2. That's just the nature of the corner.
Yeah. The off-camber corner coming in, right?
Yes. Yeah, and the car actually gets light as you crest that hill, reaching towards the apex there. So if you're not hustling the car through there and it's not moving around, you're probably not going quick enough.
And I've driven here in slow race cars, so obviously my reaction time much different. But it's a really weird visual I find as well, because you're kind of coming up and cresting the hill, like you said. It's almost like the apex is blind, because you can't see it depending on what car you're sitting in, right? But you're trying to get that thing rotated in. But like you said, you're cresting a hill coming into the entry of the keyhole.
Yeah, the undulations of this track are similar to Barber, probably not as steep. But we're using a lot of different sight lines and muscle memory to get through here, because a couple of the corners are completely blind.
Multi-time Road to Indy champion and IndyCar driver Oliver Askew joining me here in the booth as my analyst for this race for Indy Pro 2000. We are now into the second half of this race, 13 laps down, 12 to go, and a couple of battles forming up right now. We've had this fight for third for really the entire race, with Reese Gold settling in on the gearbox of Braden Eves. But after taking out to a pretty strong early lead, Artem Petrov had some trouble on one of the laps, fell back. Rasmussen was able to get by, but Petrov been able to dial it back in, has been reeling him in slowly 2 or 3 tenths of a second a lap. You can see Petrov now getting back at it. Obviously, the team worried about some kind of an engine issue, but Petrov now getting his feet wet and getting back into it here, really up there close, coming into the braking zone of turn number 4. And Oliver, let's talk about that braking zone. One of the things about this racetrack is it is undulating. There's lots of elevation changes. Some of the camera angles we see, this may be a little better, but you don't get a feel for it. Coming down into turn 4, that big braking zone, it's a downhill corner, which lengthens the braking zone a little bit. It does give you a lot of opportunity to make a move to the inside because you can go around the outside as well, because really it is the race to the exit of that corner.
It's one of the best passing zones on the track. You typically don't want to go on the outside because it's very easy for the driver on the inside to just release brake. And there's the outside of that corner, it's grass and it goes straight downhill. So it usually takes a while to get back on track.
Right.
It's not the most ideal place to go off. I've experienced it.
I get it.
And there's a gravel trap there too.
There is,
so.
China Beach. You do not want to be there for sure, because if you go that far off, then you're definitely in trouble. But again, we've seen guys block to the inside. You have to do that outside pass. We saw one actually earlier this year. Reese Gold, I believe, was able to make a pass around the outside of, I can't remember exactly who it was, a beautiful pass around the outside. But again, not advisable, because as Oliver said, all it takes is the driver on the inside to release a little bit and get into you. And if you go off track there, if you drop a wheel, it's pretty easy to go way off the racetrack.
So if I'm Braden Eves right now, I have a mirror full of Reese Gold, but I'm also, very interested in this battle going on between Christian Rasmussen and Artem Petrov. As I spoke before, Petrov and Eves on the same team for Exclusive Autosport. I'd be hoping Petrov will make a dive on Rasmussen here.
Yeah, get up there, throw something in there, potentially either, if anything, slow him up, right? Get him somewhere that could potentially really hurt his drive off a corner. Eves now back by 3.1 seconds from that battle for first and second, so he's significantly far back right now. Rasmussen, though, in a position to almost clinch this championship, I would think. As they run on the racetrack, it's 28 points. So, I got to think that we're very close right now to Rasmussen potentially clinching it, because only 33 points up for grabs tomorrow, and even finishing dead last, Rasmussen just having to start would get 9 points. So Rasmussen in a very close position to potentially clinching this championship. Even Diane Swintel let me know it's a provisional clinch right now. All he would have to do is start tomorrow, and the same comes from Steve Wittig. So these are the guys, obviously, that we rely on, Diane and Steve, to give us the data. Of course, all unofficial, but he'll only have to start tomorrow to get those 9 points guaranteed to be able to win this championship. But again, pretty good run here for Rasmussen, taking over the lead after the issue with Artem Petrov.
It's a lot better than going in tomorrow, having to beat the guy that you're fighting for the championship. That's a good feeling, as long as the car starts.
That's it, right? Just let me start the thing and get that one lap I need in the books, and you're going to be the champion. And again, we talk about USF 2000 winning the championship to move up to the Indy Pro category, but man, that Indy Pro championship, we're talking over $750,000 to move to Indy Lights in 2022. And again, part of this weekend, of course, all of us at the Anderson Promotions crew saying goodbye to Indy Lights as the stewardship of that program being taken over again by IndyCar, and we wish everybody the best of luck. We'll be watching all the drivers, and we'll continue to graduate drivers as we have for the last decade into the Indy Lights program, and I feel really happy that we've left it in really good shape. 13 cars for majority of this year. I'm projecting 15 to 17 next year based on the new teams we have coming in as well. So a lot of good momentum for, number one, Indy Lights, and of course for you as well, Oliver, for the NTT IndyCar Series. Man, what a season in terms of the number of new teams that are coming in. The seats are available. Obviously, we're crossing our fingers you're able to get into another car again. But man, it's everything going in the right direction. 14 races for IndyCar on network TV as well with NBC.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge for sponsors. Very, very attractive, return on investment.
Exactly that, yeah.
And I don't think the series needs any more talent,
no,
honestly.
True enough. It is stacked right now. And again, we've, of course, enjoyed watching guys like Oliver and Colton and Pato O'Ward and Renus VK, these drivers that, again, we've seen over the last couple of years excel here in Indy Lights, and, of course, looking to potentially have 2 or 3 drivers graduate up from this year's program. So we'll see which one of the drivers from Indy Pro 2000, or a handful potentially, could get there. But right now they're applying their trade and learning the craft here on the second rung of the road to Indy, presented by Cooper Tires. Indy Pro 2000, and of course, 18 laps into this VP Racing Lubricants Grand Prix of Mid-Ohio, the first of 2 races for Indy Pro 2000. Christian Rasmussen now with just under a second lead over Artem Petrov. Braden Eves runs third. Reese Gold fourth. Christian Brooks in fifth. And I believe this will be enough to give the team championship as well to Exclusive Autosport as they run on the racetrack right now. They were in the middle of a pretty good fight with Juncos Racing, which currently runs fourth with Reese Gold and eighth with Anam Ahmed. So that team championship getting ready to lock up as well. Hey, and like we said, provisionally, the way they run on the racetrack, Christian Rasmussen going back-to-back, just trying to follow in the footsteps of Kyle Kirkwood, going 3 potential championships in a row.
Very impressive. And I believe the winner of this championship gets an IndyCar test.
Yeah, that's
right?
one. Yeah, so this year, before the Chris Griffiths test, it'll be Stingray Robb for winning Indy Pro last year. He'll be driving an IndyCar this year. And then the winner of this championship, then in 2022, will get a chance to drive an IndyCar as well. That's a pretty cool opportunity.
How's that for a jump?
Right?
Indy Pro 2000 straight to IndyCar.
That's it, right? I had asked you before and a bunch of guys, what was the biggest jump from karting to Indy Lights? And everybody said from Indy Pro to Indy Lights was that kind of big jump. Yeah, jumping out of karting was tough, but going to Indy Pro to Indy Lights with just so much more of everything. But yeah, I think Indy Pro to IndyCar, that will be you'll have your eyes open for sure. Do you remember the first time you drove an IndyCar? Where was it and who was it with?
It was at Portland with Chip Ganassi Racing in 2019, just before my St. Louis Indy Lights race.
Okay.
And so just to give you an idea of what the power is like in IndyCar, I had to continue to add padding on the back of my helmet because I was getting sunk into the back of the headrest, you know, with how much power and acceleration it had.
That's amazing.
And the cornering ability of that car as well, especially at Portland International Raceway. You know,
Right.
you have those long, high-speed sweeping corners. You know, I had to add padding into my seat as well because like my whole body would shift over and there'd be too much space. So.
Well, that's because it's the same tub, right? You can use the same seat in the same seat, and there's so much more G-forces. One of the things I remember I love hearing about is guys that are getting used to the brakes as well, where they're coming down and they're standing on the brakes and they're literally stopping before they get even to the turning point. And they've got to then change that braking zone because it's just such an incredible race car. So I love it. We've enjoyed watching you and what you've been able to do, of course, all the way through the road to Indy, and hoping that you get that seat that we know you all deserve in IndyCar next year. Okay, there's the battle coming through turn number 13. This is the final position on the podium between Braden Eves and Reese Gold. Both drivers very similar in terms of lap times. As they come through turn number 1, there's Christian Brooks. And I'll tell you, Jacob Abel's not done yet either. He is slowly working his way back, potentially up on Brooks for a battle for that position in the top 5. It's been a pretty good second half of the season as well for Jacob Abel, currently in the 6th spot in points. A bunch of top 5s over the last second half of the season. A couple of podiums as well at Road America and Mid-Ohio. But top 5s as well this run through this second half of the season for Jacob Abel and the Abel Motorsports crew. Crosley Brands on the side of that machine. But watching this fight up front too, Christian Rasmussen took that lead after the issue. That one-lap problem for Artem Petrov fell back a little bit. He's now 1.6 seconds out. So Christian Rasmussen lining up to potentially unofficially clinch this championship here right now. He'd only need to start tomorrow to be able to get it locked down as he runs strongly there as the leader. Rasmussen trying to get yet another win. It would be his 7th win of the season. And for me, very interesting to see what's happened here. Of course, Kyle Kirkwood setting all these records in terms of race wins. If he's able to score the Indy Lights win tomorrow, he would tie the late, great Greg Moore for 10 victories in Indy Lights as the all-time single-season Indy Lights race winner. But Kyle, I want to say something like 31 race wins, I think, now over the road to Indy. But Christian Rasmussen, he's chasing him as well. This would be win number 7 for Christian. 1 extra year because Christian did 2 years in USF 2000, scoring 3 victories his first season. But, man, he has been on a tear and is trying to be another driver to go back-to-back in terms of USF and Indy Pro 2000 championships.
That's just an absurd number of wins.
Isn't it crazy? It's amazing to be able to get that many victories coming up, especially with the level of competition. One of the reasons why Anderson Promotions is bringing our new USF Juniors program out for next year is the level of competition in USF 2000, which used to be kind of an open-wheel entry-level program, is so high now that I think that next level is going to allow a lot of drivers to develop a little more under our culture, under our umbrella before moving them into the road to Indy in USF 2000. But this would be the 7th win for Rasmussen. An absolute crazy amount of victories for the young driver from Denmark. And again, looking to clinch this championship here. Rasmussen, Petrov, Eves, Gold, and Brooks, the top 5. Laps winding down, only about 4 laps remaining. And listen, you won 2 championships. You remember what it was like, the race that you clinched. It's not totally done for Christian Rasmussen, but you have to believe when he rolls across the line and sees the checker, the amount of relief, the amount of stress, the pressure that will roll off of him on that cool-down lap. What was the cool-down lap like for you in both of your championships? Was the emotion? I know
Yeah,
you're
so many chills.
Yeah.
And understanding that your off season is going to be a lot easier.
True enough, yeah. But again, you're Norwegian, correct? Is that what?
Swedish,
You're
half Swedish.
Half Swedish. So you have some of that Icelandic background. You're a little more stoic.
Yeah.
What kind of you've heard guys cry a little bit. There's that complete relief. Did you have any of that, or was it just the more relief side of it?
I mean, you saw me win the Freedom 100.
Yeah,
right?
you and I had a good time with the Freedom 100.
Yeah.
That was a pretty big victory for you. Yeah. And
Yeah,
again,
I had tears rolling.
You
I
did.
think after I had clinched the championship in Indy Lights, so I kind of knew a lot of time to process that.
True.
So but after winning, I haven't been that emotional in a long time.
Wow.
After winning the Freedom 100, that was
that's a big win, right?
one of the best days of my life.
No doubt about it. But then to win the championship as well, again, I don't think people realize how much pressure you guys as drivers put on yourself to try to get that, especially with the scholarship, right? Without the scholarship, you're winning a championship, and like you said, your off season's not changing. You're hustling, you're meeting people, you're trying to find the money. But to win that scholarship, and I always say that the scholarship really isn't really the biggest benefit. Yeah, the scholarship's fantastic, but really what it gives you is another full year to try to find the money for the next year, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
Get that
you're totally
opportunity.
right. You're totally right.
Well, for Christian Rasmussen, he's very close to potentially having 2022 to look for the money he needs for 2023 because he is very close to winning this championship. It will not again be clinched today. Unofficially it will, but he'll have to at least start the race tomorrow to get those 9 points for finishing 12th. So if he rolls off the grid and gets that green flag, it will be a clinch for Christian Rasmussen. As they run on the racetrack right now, things have separated out a little bit between Petrov, Eves, and Gold. Christian Brooks still running in that 5th spot, but he's still getting chased down by Jacob Abel. Being told a car in the gravel in turn number 2. That will be the exit of the keyhole, or at least going into the keyhole. Wow, we've got just a couple laps remaining. I don't think we would go full course. No, we are going full course, so that would essentially lock things down. And with just a couple laps to go, I can't see that we'd be going back to green. Yellow flag flying, driver off in turn number 2. Nothing from that particular vantage point there to tell you who is off the racetrack. We'll see who ends up falling down the order. I'm wondering if it's James Rowe because he was in the middle of the fight here with Wyatt Prokachik, but we'll see when they come back around. Lap number 24 going in. We're watching live timing like most of you are at home probably as well.
So it's white flag this time by.
Oh, yeah, Jack, and it's going to be Jack William Miller, and a good insight from Oliver. It will be white flag next time by.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah,
as long as I put enough fuel in it.
Well, that's 24. They'll get the checker flag next time by. No, I think that's James Rowe.
That looks like James.
Yeah, that's James Rowe. That's not Jack William Miller. Miller was out earlier, I believe. Oh, so potentially both drivers off the racetrack. We can't see Jack William, so maybe those two drivers getting together there. But this will be the final circuit. The white flag and the yellow coming out at the same time. So there you go. It's going to be a cool-down lap around the racetrack for Christian Rasmussen. As long as Oliver said he's fully fueled, I think he's fine.
What do we call him now? Christmas Rasmussen?
You're going to call him Christmas?
Christmas?
It's definitely Christmas at the Rasmussen household right now. Yeah, big present for Christian as that yellow flag negating any opportunities for anything else to happen on the racetrack. Rasmussen's going to take this victory. Artem Petrov in second, Braden Eves in third, Reese Gold in the 4th spot, and Christian Brooks in 5th. Jacob Abel will come home 6th, Hunter McElroy in 7th, Anam Ahmed in 8th, Wyatt Prokachik 9th, Jordan Missig in 10th, and James Rowe and Jack William Miller, the two drivers getting together over in turn number 2. Not able to make it to the end. They'll officially be classified in 11th and 12th respectively. But for Christian Rasmussen, definitely an impressive run for him. Petrov in 2nd, Eves 3rd. Team championship's going to go to Exclusive Autosport after a 2nd, 3rd, and 5th place performance by their drivers. Oliver, once we kind of get wrapped up here and they see the checkered flag, we'll head down to Victory Lane. But I appreciate you coming and joining me.
Thank you.
Good to have you here. Nice to reminisce a little bit about your years on the road to Indy, buddy.
Always. Maybe I'll see you in Vegas.
I will. Yeah, I'll be there again.
We're racing. We're not partying.
I've
We're not
announced
partying.
every one of those races, so I'll be back. Glad to be
right.
back at the Scuzas Super Nationals.
I'm going to try to get out there as well.
All right, buddy.
Yeah, I'll see you. Thank you.
There it is. Oliver Askew, folks, joining us. We'll let him get out of here, and then again, I'll run down here in a couple of seconds to be able to meet the race winners down there. There's Christian Rasmussen coming down to the wall to his team as they wait for him, and big day for Jay Howard Driver Development. In that team as well, how about this? Back-to-back championships in USF 2000 and Indy Pro 2000, and the first year for Jay Howard Driver Development in this Indy Pro category, they're able to get the championship with young Christian Rasmussen, a very talented driver following in the footsteps of guys like Oliver Askew and Renus VK, and of course Kyle Kirkwood as well. He and Kyle most closely connected. So indeed, folks, looking forward to one more race here today. The USF 2000 drivers will be on the racetrack. I believe 350 green flag for that particular run. Of course, the podium presentation coming up a little bit later here for the drivers in Indy Pro 2000. Christian Rasmussen with a tremendous victory. Artem Petrov coming home in second. Braden Eves, as I said, in third, chased throughout the race there by Reese Gold. And as they run on the racetrack right now, 423 points for Rasmussen and 396 for Braden Eves. So the gap then, again, as the race has done, the difference between Rasmussen and Eves to give him the unofficial championship, now 27 points. And again, all he'll have to do is start tomorrow to be able to clinch this championship. If he doesn't start and Eves is able to get 28 points, he'd be able to steal it away. But again, you'd have to think that Christian Rasmussen will eat a very plain dinner this evening. No chance for food poisoning. Stay out of trouble. All he's got to do is climb behind the wheel, that Jay Howard Driver Development PM18, and he's going to take that green flag as the champion for Indy Pro 2000. It's been a tremendous year for Rasmussen. 7 wins, coming in nice little clusters as well. A couple of victories, one at St. Petersburg, one at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course, or 2 actually at Indianapolis. Big victory in the Freedom 90 at Lucas Oil Raceway. Was able to get a win at both the Road America and Mid-Ohio. It's been 5 races since he's been able to get back on top of the box and doing it in style here, able to get around whatever happened, an ailing Artem Petrov and taking the victory. So Rasmussen with the win, Petrov in second, Braden Eves third, Reese Gold fourth, and Christian Brooks rounding out the top 5. Folks, we're going to go to a break here right now. We'll do a couple of commercials and then ideally come back with podium presentations. Back to the Road to Indy TV stage here right now, and I'm with a unofficial champion right now, Christian Rasmussen, being able to get that victory today. All you need to do is start now tomorrow, and when you sat down here, you said to me, what a relief.
Yeah.
That's what it is, isn't it?
It is a relief. It's been an intense season. There's been so many good drivers out there this year. It's been so competitive. So winning in my rookie season in a team that's also a rookie in the series is a huge accomplishment.
And I think that adds to it all, does it not? The fact that you came in here, you got a rookie teammate as well in Wyatt Prokachik, and so he's showed some good speed throughout the season. But for you to be able to do what you did, we look at some of the results here now, 7 wins on the season. Yeah. You're racking up some pretty amazing results. And you look at kind of where you are and the results that you had in this final run. Give me your thoughts first. Let's start at the beginning of the race. Obviously, you know you've got to get out of the opening lap. If you can stay in front of Braden Eves, but you've got all the exclusive Autosport guys lined up on the inside row, right? And then coming through 1 and 2, you were able to get cleanly out. That must have been your first kind of little breathing moment.
No, for sure. Yeah. And it was quite intense into turn 1. I didn't get a perfect start. Braden definitely got a little bit of a run on me. And he was also on the inside into turn 1. I think we touched wheels a little bit in 1.
We thought about that, yeah.
We did. And then, luckily we all got through it cleanly. And from there on out, we know how hard it is to pass around here. So I was just waiting for my opportunity. I don't know if Petrov made a little mistake, if there was something mechanical. At least he slowed down into 1, and I was like,
yeah, 1 lap of 120.
Right, I'm going to take that.
Right.
And then, from there, it was just kind of a cruise to the end.
You see the double yellow, of course, the issue on the in turn number 2 with those guys. All of a sudden, did Did you have the math in your head, or were they screaming that you've locked it at this point here, or did you not know that until you came back in?
No, I wasn't quite sure. I
Yeah.
kind of knew it whenever I got in. I knew it was about done. There was also kind of, I very rarely get emotional
Okay.
on like an in lap on after race, but this one definitely got me a little bit.
Well, this is funny because obviously in the show we had Oliver Askew as our driver analyst, and he's got some Swedish in him, right? He's got a little bit of that heritage, and he's pretty stoic. He doesn't have a lot of emotion, but he showed that at the Freedom when he won there, and of course when he won his Indy Lights Championship. You obviously say you don't have a lot of emotion, but when you're talking about something that's $700 and something thousand, you're going to run Indy Lights next year. To
Yeah.
have that done and know that you have another year to find money for the next year, for a driver like yourself, man, this is life changing.
Oh, it's huge. It is, like you say, it is life changing. And I mean, we just, as drivers in this series, we just have to be so grateful for what people are doing for us, giving us these opportunities to win these scholarships. It's a unique thing. You don't see it anywhere else in the world, and it's just amazing. It gives people like me a chance to actually do it. People who doesn't come from a background with a lot of money, and just gives us a chance. So I truly appreciate everybody that's involved in this, and I'm just looking forward to next year.
And
now.
the connection between you and Jay Howard, obviously for him, you brought him his first championship last year in USF 2000. You do it again here in Indy Pro. Man, you guys have a special bond as guys that really have believed in each other, right? You could have taken that scholarship winning last year and went to a different team, not a brand new team. You stuck with Jay.
Yeah.
And talk about checking another box off. It really paid off for both you and him.
Yeah, it did. We have a great relationship, me and Jay. We've been working together for a lot of years. Like you said, won our first championship last year. Go back to back this year, and it just also shows you, it's not. Of course, you have to do the driving right, but there's so many people involved. It's not a one-man sport. This, as a lot of people think. It takes a whole team to be successful and be successful week after week after week after week. And the J Howard driver development boys has just been doing a phenomenal job this year to keep me going.
I could probably jump on you now and ask you where you're going to run Indy Lights next year, but I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to let you enjoy this because you deserve it. You and the whole team. Christian, congratulations.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Folks, the Indy
Give
Pro
me your hand
2000.
here.
Yeah, I'm with you. Don't worry. I won't leave you hanging. Indy Pro 2000 champion for 2021. Unofficially, it's got to start tomorrow. But wow, what a tremendous run for him, and to be able to put the body work he did. Like we talked about the fact that, of course, Kyle Kirkwood's got all these records. He's starting to do it as well. A bunch of race wins, his 7th, potentially going for his 8th Indy Pro 2000 win tomorrow. But the bottom line is he'll start tomorrow and being able to start thinking about Indy Lights. That's going to wrap things up here for our Indy Pro and Indy Lights coverage. We're going to be back again at 3:30 this afternoon. USF 2000 will have their first race. He's a former champion of that program as well. We'll see if Kiko Porto can get the job done today like Christian Rasmussen did in Indy Pro 2000. For everybody at the Road to Indy TV and Road to Indy presented by Cooper Tires, thank you so much for tuning in. My name's Rob Howden. Bye for now.